You're watching X-Men Omni with Justin and John. And their good friend, Hank. Hell yeah.
I love that, Bobby. It's pumping me up every time I see it. Yes, hello, welcome back to Omni X-Men. This is the ongoing journey through Chris Claremont's epic saga of Uncanny X-Men and now New Mutants. And I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Justin from No Good Comics.
Yeah, man. I love that clip. I meant to ask like who's Hank that was. If it was, maybe
it's
it was
be his, right?
Maybe, but
Claremont's. Sitting there. It seems like part of his display.
I've always meant to ask Bobby if that was like if he brought it or to get signed or something, or if it's just his. But either way, we love you, Bobby. Thanks for doing that video. We'll have more this year, hopefully.
Yes. But welcome back. How's your week? How you been doing?
Yeah, man, doing great. My sister got married. Had a nice wedding, went down to Baltimore, saw some friends and family, and well rested now. We did good. And then I got my floppy here, so I'm ready to between that and the Omnibus, dive in.
You're going to be dual reading the same thing. You got the app open too. You can watch it. You can read it digitally at the same time.
Could do that. Where's my iPad? Totally could do that.
So tonight, yes, we're reading issue number 23 from the New Mutants. As a reminder, stick around to the end of the show. If you're completely unfamiliar, if you're brand new to the Omni X-Men crew here, welcome in. Justin here and I bounce back and forth hosting this show. Not every other week because next week we're off again. But we try to keep it regular. But the next episode will be on Justin's channel, and all the links are down below. There's a ton of them. The links for our previous years and the playlists, links for our featured artist Geek Out with Rosko, who's doing a sketch cover for a giveaway at the end of the season. Tons of stuff, lots of good things that you should be following and subscribe to, because that's where this extends beyond our little live stream here.
Oh yes. Tonight
we've got special guests who can take this even further. Podcasters extraordinaire, awesome community members who have been on the show previously. We've got Alicia and Better Justin.
Oh, I knew all the Better Justin jokes were coming.
Yeah, get ready for it.
Yeah.
It's Better Justin night. It's the best.
John set me up, dang it again. What's up, gang?
Oh, we're just happy to be here. Thank you guys for having us back.
Always.
Absolutely.
You guys talking about these classics, these wonderful stories, and just hanging out.
Yes, absolutely.
And getting more evidence to support our Xavier is a jerk theory about Claremont and X-Men.
That's
right.
True. It's true.
Biggest jerk.
It's in the DNA of the X-Men story.
Yeah.
It's just baked right in there. Baked right in. Yeah. If you guys are unfamiliar with Alicia and Justin, their links are down below, including their website, where you can find all their podcasts on different platforms, depending on where you like finding your podcasts. Also, great cosplay stuff. You can always catch updates on Alicia's phenomenal cosplay work. So
thank you.
Hugely impressed. And then the Uncanny experience that you guys are a part of every year, coming up in, you said July, right?
July, yeah.
Very exciting.
It's really fun. It's an immersive X-Men convention. So if you want to go to X-Men summer camp.
That's basically what it is. It's like just nerding out with a bunch of other adults in what is the mansion of Xavier's.
Yeah.
Right. Everything I've seen of it makes me so jealous. I'm just like, oh my Lord, what an experience.
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, let's say hello to some friends in the chat, and then we'll get to know Justin and Alicia a little better, and then dive into our issue for tonight.
Yep.
We had some tailgaters in. What's up, Rob Boswell in the chat? What's going on, Rob? Good to see you, sir.
What's up, Rob?
And we got Derek. What's going on, Derek? Happy Tuesday. We got Chop and Drop. What's going on, Chop?
Hey, Chop.
Matt in Clemson is here. What's going on, Matt? He has got a bunch of things on the giveaway wheel at the end of the season, because he sticks around for the trivia at the end of the night. So make sure you're doing the same like Matt.
By the way, Matt's going to be on my show tomorrow night, Origins.
Oh,
check it out.
There it is.
You guys want to learn more about Matt's origin story?
Boom. Yes, we're learning about the nude mutants tonight. Again, that theme of the nude mutants is continuing. Yes, Magic Lasso, correct. Much appreciated.
Oh, dear.
Candace, what's going on, Candace? Good to see you, my friend. How are you doing? Was there cake at the wedding? I must know. Says Magic Lasso.
Yes, there was.
Inquiring minds.
Very good.
Oh yes.
What is up, Adam? Make stuff up, neighbor to the north. Good to see you, my friend. You've got a wrench on my channel. You're not new to anything around here.
Liar.
Bobby De La Ghetto, what is going on? Cameo appearance at the beginning of the show, as always. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. We got Old Wolf. How you doing?
Tony.
Good to see you, Tony. And I think that's it. Currently all caught up. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, for hanging out in the chat, leaving your great comments as we go through this issue. But let's get to know the two of you a little bit better, a little more about your experience in and around Claremont, X-Men, and the New Mutants. My question for you, the one that we've talked a lot of guests about, is depending on how far your New Mutants knowledge goes, let us know, who is your favorite New Mutant?
You know your answer right off the top.
I do, yeah. It's because she's my favorite mutant. So Magic is the answer.
Yeah.
But if I had to say not Magic, not my Magic bias, I would choose Danny Moonstar.
Ooh,
love her.
Good second choice.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if I could combo Warlock and Doug Ramsey for Team Supreme, that would.
I say yes.
That's
That's fair.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And if not, it's Danny Moonstar.
It's great.
Ooh, I like the alignment there on the second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
you have a favorite? I mean, the team has had several leaders, whether battlefield or teachers. Do you have a favorite team leader?
I mean, I really liked, and we get to see some of it in this issue. I really like seeing Sam and Danny play off of each other and both come into their own as leaders, and to try to figure out, okay, like, how do we, amongst our peers, without the knowledge, background, and training of seasoned mutants, seasoned X-Men, do this superhero thing, even though we're not supposed to be superheroes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I just think Danny Moonstar for president, so I just think Danny is the answer.
And it's going to be the correct answer to a lot of questions.
Up Justin's duo comment because
love it.
It also includes Danny.
Fair. No, that's absolutely fair.
Yep.
We've gone through a couple of different phases of artwork. We've yet to discover the Liefeld era down the road. Do you have any favorite New Mutant artists?
I mean, you have,
go ahead.
Bill Sienkiewicz is one of my favorite artists. So to be able to talk about one of his issues, the Demon Bear Saga, is just like a standout in gorgeous work and really define what his style became through this run. And, I can't praise his work enough.
I don't have a lot of experience with like the origins of New Mutants. So I am automatically drawn to Rod Reese. I actually love Rod's work in general. And like anytime he draws anything New Mutants related, I just love.
Fair.
Him and Bill are very similar.
Yeah, and that's what I think is cool because it's like generational.
It brings that aesthetic, especially in the Krakoan arcs, to almost like it's channeling that kind of a bit of chaos, but still very fluid, very connected, very just different, very unique.
Yep.
And as we're getting into the Legion Shadow King kind of stuff down the road, you can kind of see the birth of some of that art style coming out, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah. I just love the scratchiness of it. It's so textural. I live for it.
Yep.
All right. If you were going to make a New Mutants team and you each got to pick two people to be on a New Mutants team, who are you picking to throw in this like young players got to work together, learn their craft kind of thing?
Like any people in the world, or like
any mutants.
I like this question. Good question.
What is up, Eric from SideQuest in the chat? What's going on, Eric? And huge thank you. I'll give you a little more time to think because I got Rob Boswell's. He dropped 5. He gifted 5 memberships to the chat. Thank you for doing that, Rob. Cool. I'm going to play you a little video of my kids hitting each other.
Okay, I just have to tell you, like, you did that so that I could think, and all I
Yes, I gave you a little extra time, and it's always fun to share that video as many times as I can the rest of my life.
Yes.
You do have one.
I have two now.
Oh,
Okay.
Chaos. Gabby
Oh yeah.
and Boom Boom.
Yes.
Yes.
Love them both.
Put them together.
So I'm gonna go with Death Dream, who's in the new books currently. He's one of my favorites of the new generation of mutants that's been showing up.
Which title is that character in? Because I don't know that I know him.
Uncanny X-Men.
In the Uncanny title.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm behind.
In
I'm
Gale's
way
Uncanny.
behind.
He just stands out in terms of unique character, unique ability, and to be this far in the series and the lore of X-Men to still make a standout character like that is really great.
Sure.
Nice.
And then, I think Rusty just needs it. I think he just needs something. He needs something.
It's fair. And if you got Boom Boom, I feel like Rusty, you kind of got to have both, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then Skids is just sad at doing something else.
Yeah, staring out the window as it rains, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, kids.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you guys and everybody. You can click the links down below. Get yourselves in on the Ex-Wife podcast. Find them on Instagram. Check out their website. Tag it on your bar there so that you can then go buy some great gear. Because it's magic. That shirt is pretty phenomenal too. I just chose the theme shirt for tonight.
It is a great one.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's dive into issue number 23. And as always, we kick it off with a discussion of the cover artwork. Justin, I know we've gotten into a lot of discussions around Sienkiewicz's covers. What are your thoughts here on this one?
Yeah, so I immediately love this cover just from, especially kind of knowing the direction that it's going in. I feel like I'm becoming more and more a Cloak and Dagger fan just from the stuff that we read and just some of the stuff I know from some other reads. I haven't had a lot of time to dive into too much of their stuff, but just seeing them on the front, I was very excited for. And of course, Bill he kills it on this. So to see these two kind of split up, and again, we already know that both Bobby and Rain are dealing with some internal issues going on, made me even more like intrigued to know exactly oh cool, they're bringing them back, like where this is going to go from here. Also we had mentioned it from last issue, and we talk about it throughout a lot of them, but that corner box art, I love it. It's I like that he's changing it up every time, and again, a lot of it just goes towards Bill, the detail in this. I like that the backgrounds are very simple. I mean, there's really nothing else to it, and just allows you to focus
just that texture kind of to it. Yeah.
So I love this cover for sure.
What is up? JP is in the chat. Good to see you, JP. I appreciate you guys. So Alicia, Justin, any thoughts here on the cover artwork that we're getting? Obviously, there's a fun like light and dark kind of thing going on.
Yeah. I love the contrast of the two sides of it, and I also love that like this is a split cover. Like I feel like that's not often a style that we see in covers, that you're almost getting like two covers in one with this, which is really cool. But I'm gonna be completely honest, I came into this issue like I didn't read anything before it or anything after it, and I fully thought that was magic, and it's not. So that was an interesting turn of events for me as I went forward.
Does it lose some points on retrospect when you're kind of like,
no,
you robbed me of something here?
I was just like,
cheated.
I was like, the cover didn't tell me what was in the story, and then I went back and I was like, no, yes, it did. Yeah, it did.
I just wanted a different story. It gives me that sinking feeling where you see four heroes on the cover at odds, and you're wondering what's going on, guys. Can't we just have a conversation, because something's blowing up that it really shouldn't? But artistically, it's beautiful. You're drawn in, as are they, and there's so much expression in their faces. There's so much dynamicism in their posture, and the New Mutants are not doing so great.
They're having a tough time for sure.
It's rough.
For me, I totally agree with everything you guys are saying. I love the color work here. The intensity of the color work is kind of fun. The creepy cloak looming over the dagger, looking almost like she's doing some, I don't know, spell, like she's casting a spell there or something. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Very magical.
Right, well, yeah. Well, yeah. Emma Frost could be Emma Frost getting into her brain.
Just so we're clear, I thought that Rain was magic.
Yeah.
Not anything.
Not Dagger.
just I was like, oh, are those bangs? No, they're not. It's not.
No,
it's hands, and you're wrong.
Well, let's dive onto the inside, because we are styling and profiling right off the back at the absolute worst dominatrix club in town. The Hellfire is back and in full fashion. They've got a couple of really interesting henchmen back there as they are going through some kind of ceremony. They're initiating 2 new members into the Hellfire Club. We've got Celine, who, I don't know how she got her card approved here for this process, because that's a bad call for anybody to add her to the Hellfire Club.
Right.
We've also got Emmanuel DaCosta, Roberto's father, who we've seen slowly over the last few issues getting more and more, I guess you could say, in air quotes, comfortable with becoming a Hellfire Club member, with the long-term plan of bringing his son back into the fold. So we see them here standing amidst what looks like some really creepy cult, and they're forced to drink some strange beverage that seems to make Emmanuel very happy, besides the scantily clad people around him. We also see Celine really living this dream up. She is definitely all happy and stoked here, which doesn't sit well with Sebastian Shaw, who seems to be questioning a lot of his life choices here in the last few seconds. Justin, I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts on this Hellfire party?
Yeah, so a few things on this splash page, and first of all, for a quick second, I thought that this was Sam, knowing that he was in the New Mutants Annual 1 and dressed in all leathers with the rock and roll chick, from a few seasons ago. I was like, oh, what's Sam doing there? But it really interesting. I have a few things actually to kind of point out here. First, let me gather my thoughts.
Give Justin the floor for a second.
I want to remind everybody that technically the last issue in the Omnibus was 189. So if we skipped it because we had X-Men 189, Uncanny X-Men 189. So that's in between issue 22 of New Mutants and this. So for those who haven't seen it or forgot how it kind of goes through, Celine has an epic battle with the X-Men in that issue. So I was a little thrown off to see her regathered here, and I mean they essentially lose in that battle, Celine specifically. So she's kind of playing it. I don't know if it just happened immediately after or what the situation was, but she seems very chill here, drinking the wine or whatever. But they don't really address it. But it does technically, that happened right before all this.
Correct. And in the Omnibus, you have that issue in between the two as well.
Right. So then, so the other thing I wanted to point out was, if anyone's ever read Philadelphia, the style of this reminded me so much of
for sure.
What's his name? Jason
Sean Alexander.
Which, to be fair, obviously Bill came first and did all this stuff first. Right. So I'm almost curious if anything had come out of that. There's vampires involved, but them drinking out of this, what looks to be almost blood, like definitely gave me those kind of vibes. And then the other thing is, maybe I'm hung up on this one phrase that Sebastian uses, but he says. He goes, like us, they have no liking for the modern world, nor for our place in it. And he goes on to just give his spiel or whatever before he introduces. So
right.
Is he anti? I mean, they as a group, I get, they're making them dress in these old fashioned, 1770 clothing or whatever. If they're like modern, or if they're anti-modern and they don't want anything to do with any of that, isn't it a little hypocritical knowing that they have a combat room that's programmed by a massive computer setup that I mean,
it's not as technologically advanced as the Danger Room, because they did seem to have like less of the like holograms and stuff and more of just like robot attack dummies. But it's still like your point, modern... there's technology. Yes.
Yeah. Sure. It's like catching him with like a cell phone after he just gave this speech about being like against like modern stuff.
I feel like he's more talking about like society than he is about like what he has access to. Like I think he's talking about like how they do things and like the decorum of this time versus how like people interact in modern society.
Right.
But also good call Shaw out on his hypocrisy.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he's very driven. I mean, he made Emmanuel DaCosta wear this stuff. Like Emmanuel's like, do I have to wear? Like in the last issue, he's like, do I have to wear? And he's like, like, hey, you gonna be part of this cool club or not? Like, it's like,
and then I just feel so bad for him. He's the only one other than Shaw dressed as it.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody else got the memo of like, no, we're in leather. We got whips.
Right.
We got all these like accessories. This is my entourage. They came like this. And Emmanuel's just like, I feel silly. I don't like this.
Celine's actually wearing far more clothes than I would have anticipated for her shining moment entering the Hellfire Club.
She's trying to set a different tone than Emma set.
I see.
Yeah, well, and literally last issue she's showing a lot more leg in the last issue, so yeah, it is odd that she's now wearing this much. So, anyways, those are my thoughts.
One thing that stands out to me is how Celine is a very strong telepath. So you have Sebastian Shaw freaking out about his potential downfall amongst this person that he knows nothing about. And she's cackling. She's like throwing her hair back, likely privy to his innermost thoughts, secrets, 100%. Desires, everything that's going on in his silly little head, and how she's going to try and snake this entire thing from him.
Yep, 100%. No, she's enjoying the fact that she's clearly caught him on a hook. He made a bad call. We got other friends jumping into the chat. I appreciate everybody coming by. Eric, it might be Prince. I mean, it's Prince adjacent, I think maybe. And yes, another episode of the show sponsored by leather. Fair. Look around for Cannonball. Yeah, because they put him in a few leather outfits as well, right?
Yep.
Definitely true. They're modern when it's convenient, which, the hypocrisy, let's be honest, Sebastian Shaw is known for his hypocrisy, if nothing else, right? Except for the mutton chops. He's known for those as well.
Right.
She has the riding crop, which is a sign. Be wary, right? Any more thoughts here? Should we continue on to the next page here?
Just they're definitely drinking blood. 100% it's blood.
Yeah.
And Celine is too cool with it. She's like, yeah, no, I've been to parties like this.
She knows, it's Celine.
These are my people. Like, I'm an energy vampire. We're good.
Good reference. I like it. So we jump away from there over to closer to the mansion where apparently there is a pub not far off campus that apparently regularly allows in the students of the school, which you'd think most of them are going to be under drinking age, but we'll deal with that as we go along. Chief among them is Colossus, Peter Rasputin, sitting there playing chess with the owner of the establishment and having a good time, joking with each other and enjoying the rapport. And Molly, the waitress at the pub, comes in and tells them, I need Peter to take care of this kid. It's one of the people from the school. You got to take a look. And it's Roberto, and he's not drunk, but he's certainly belligerent at the bar. She says he's refused any of the food that she's brought him, and he's just being a bit of a grouse, as is somewhat typical for Roberto. And when Colossus tries to talk to him, Roberto just cold cocks him, just knocks him around. Yeah. And instantly Colossus is like, okay, this is something weird is going on. And he seems like unlike his normal self. And Roberto just starts trashing the place. He just seems to lose all control. There seems to be some sort of almost demonic level going on here. And Colossus is just trying to piece it together and just barely has enough sort of sense to try to protect the owner and Molly before this place gets trashed. So better, Justin, I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts on the fisticuffs we're getting here?
So, I mean, before we even get to the fisticuffs, I think it's navigating who's legal here? Who should be here? Who shouldn't be?
Right.
Because Harry is all sorts of in with Piotr being here.
Right.
And, that brings the timeline of question of like, okay, where's Kitty timeline wise? If Peter's passing as, I think he's recruited at like 18, 19, whatever, and then maybe 21 in this. It's just okay. I just get that.
He's borderline.
Right. And I mean, this is the only time I love Berto, but this is the only time he's gonna get a shot like this on Colossus. Sucker punched out of nowhere. Guy's just trying to help you out. Guy's just trying to find you a way home. Like, this is a friend who's just reaching out, trying to say, "Hey, bud, it's time to wrap it up. Spent too much. It's time."
He's been teaching Roberto. He's been his teacher, not just in the last issue.
Right. Yeah. And the darkness that is consuming him took me off guard when we were rereading this, and just really there was I mean, obviously the cover tells you there's something going on with Cloak, but the visual design of this darkness within Birdo reminded me of Warlock, reminded me of the way that the eyes look, the way that the just kind of fluidity of his body and his shape and his movement.
Yeah, for sure. Also, he calls Colossus a peasant oaf. And that moment you're like, oh, that tracks for Birdo. But punching Colossus in that same breath feels like there's definitely, you have to look at that moment and be like, there's something wrong with you. You're not well, because that wasn't your wisest choice. Like,
no.
I don't.
And he does it twice, because he punches him and then he like tackles and shoves him into the bar.
Yeah, it definitely is like red flags, like from the get. Even just the fact that he doesn't turn around, like he doesn't acknowledge their presence when they're talking to him. He's just so focused on whatever's going on inside him that there's just like red flags all over the place. Like this isn't just your average teenage angst. Like there's something going on here.
No,
so
definitely.
You're smart to get them, Molly.
Adam says, and another bar owner's superhero insurance rates go up.
Yeah,
that's the truth. Yeah.
Wah, wah. No good, Justin. Do you have any thoughts here on this brawl?
Yeah, Adam makes a great point. It's you know, anytime that Peter is in the room, it seems like this is technically his second situation in
didn't Juggernaut hit him with the bar?
Oh, he dropped it on him. Completely dropped a bar on him, and then he threw a wad of cash at the owner. To say, here you go.
Make it rain to solve
here. The cash. Well, I guess we'll get to Professor technically take care of it, but great point, Justin, that you were mentioned with even just that far red panel with the red and black panel where his eye, the one squiggly eye, that is what really made me think of Warlock, and the hair, like just the craziness that was kind of going on. So it even crossed my mind for a second. I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be Warlock? No, this is just the style of kind of how he's representing this madness and darkness that's coming out of him. The other thing, first appearance, John, for Molly and Harry. I hope you have that as part of the CGC.
Well, at first I was like, maybe this is magic. She's got the same hairstyle. Like they gotta have the harsh bangs. Is really intense.
It's not magic's not here. Okay.
Nope. Still absent. Peter just tells the owner, put it on my tab.
Yeah.
Xavier does have to keep a lot of tabs.
He does.
I honestly I feel like Harry invites the kids to the bar because he knows that Xavier's just going to repair it. You know,
he's like hoping for it.
That wall's got some holes in it. How about you kids come over here and fight?
I really want to remodel the bathroom. Can you guys go mess that up?
Right. Where's the Harry's brilliant when you need him?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Fair.
Great.
So Peter sends out that signal to Xavier, and Xavier does not take care of it himself. Instead, he sends a couple of teenagers to solve it. He wakes up Sam and Danny and says, hey, you guys go solve this thing going on at the bar. Sam runs over to get Danny, who is still recovering from her injuries and somewhat slower to get up and get dressed, and has an awkward moment catching her, of course, in the nude mutants as we tend to find them. He thankfully, though, he willing to carry her, fly her to the site of the rumble, and we get there in time to kind of see that it's going worse and worse for the bar, if nothing else. Roberto really just trashing the joint while Peter tries to talk him down and eventually tries to grapple with him, only to find that there are portions of Roberto that seem like incorporeal, like he's just like drifting through him. And it's almost like there's an absorbing happening. And finally, Peter's had enough of this. Colossus just punches Roberto out the wall into the nature across the way, where Danny and Sam land and find Roberto slowly kind of losing energy and passing out. Justin, what are your thoughts? Sorry, no good, Justin. What are your thoughts here on awkward teen romance and fisticuffs?
Yeah, so I mean, I did enjoy that we got to see. I mean, you know, Sam is like, it's just a reminder of where he is as far as being bashful and being proper and like, oh, sorry, like didn't mean to, and all this stuff. And just reminding you kind of where they're at in their lives right now, as kids. I mean, they're kids, right? So
yeah.
And he's like apologizing the way there and all this other stuff. So I loved seeing that. The other thing I wanted to highlight was the artwork in the middle page that you have here on the slideshow. The action scenes, just like so well done with, between Roberto breaking the I guess the wood portion of the bar or whatever that is. You can see his hands kind of slamming down through that, and then they completely go just yellow, the background there, so you just focus on the action between the two tackling each other, and then immediately like painted black on the very next panel, and then you're met with that POW, which again I had read this first digitally, like a lot of times I'll read it digitally then in the Omnibus or vice versa, but just like seeing those in the panel to panel motion, it really like gives that extra effect when you see that fist come through like that. So
nice.
I thought it was really well done. Yeah,
sure. Alicia, any thoughts here on awkward teenage romance and being sent on an errand by Xavier in the middle of the night that he apparently is too lazy to do on his own?
Oh, classic Charles, honestly. I thought it was so interesting, like in the moments, the art telling the story really well in these moments. Like you get this call to Charles, like, we need help. But the thing you see is there's the students, the children waking up. You don't even see Charles. He cannot be bothered with this problem at all. He just doesn't even appear on the panel. And then the awkward teenage romance of it all. I mean, I'm so sorry that I was looking at you while you were changing.
Yep.
I just thought that moment, that art panel speaks volumes to I am honestly sorry, but also that's a half naked girl and I'm a teenage boy who's into that kind of thing, so I'm gonna kind of look, and I just really
and Candace is asking, why is she not locking her door,
right? Well, I mean, she did recently have some nightmare issues. Maybe she wants to be sure that she's got someone who can come running in if she needs that.
I think she also likes messing with Sam too.
Yes, for sure.
There's a little bit of that.
The conversation that they're having while they're flying, especially the way she's poking at him and messing with him, I love that. But I also was what was the purpose of the two of them going to this fight? Because they didn't do anything,
right? Just
except carry the bodies home, I guess. But that was all Sam. So
I mean, probably. I don't know that the somewhat crippled young lady is probably doing it.
Right, exactly. And also Charles, why Danny right now in this moment? Right. Why not you?
Well, I mean, any chance that Charles has to be a floating head when there are naked students around.
That's
also accurate.
Hey, X-Men. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. My bad. You're sleeping.
Creeper.
Disappointing. Justin, any other thoughts here on the battle and how it kind of ends up?
The battle, the will they, won't they, ribbing that Danny gives to Sam. I'm glad that this doesn't go anywhere because they, chemistry, they're good friends. They're good playing off of each other, and Sam is just too awkward for his own good. I think Justin hit a lot of the great visual details that happen in this fight, and just the way that Bobby in his different form is able to move around Piotr and really give him a run for his money. Quickly how the idea of not wanting to injure this person because he's a student, because my punch could damn kill him. And then it's no, you are messing with me. I need to shut this down because you're destroying this bar. Professor X's Amex only goes so far. We can't just keep on rebuilding the full thing.
It's true.
We save that for the mansion and the mansion alone.
Yeah. No, but that's fair. He's already remodeled the front foyer a couple of times this year.
Impromptu arrival as they come to just say, "Oh, okay, so you guys worked it out, I guess."
Yep. And then carry everybody back. I like JP saying, Chuck once again avoided being an adult and passed the buck to the kids. Yes.
Yep.
Accurate.
That's why he has all the students. Yeah.
Right.
Why did I come up with a school so I don't have to do anything?
Right.
But I can take all the credit. I trained them. They're my X-Men.
Trained in air quotes.
Keywords.
Yeah. What's up, Ethan, in the chat? Thanks for coming, Ethan. I appreciate you, sir.
Hey.
Then we jump far and away out into the middle of the ocean where we see apparently Magneto alive and well after the drama of X-Men 150. He has somehow found Lee, the lost girlfriend of Cyclops, one of the many left along the way. Lee Forrester, the naval woman, the boat owner who seems to navigate a lot of mutants around the world, is bringing Magneto to the island fortress that the X-Men at one point were using as a base. Magneto is very weakened. He attempts to use his powers at one point and kind of crumbles down and then pushes her away. And then she's forced to kind of be like, stop being such a jerk. You need help. Let me do all the work for you. I'm used to Cyclops. This is not new. So she hefts him around, but apparently is helping him find a new home base of some sort. What I have to assume that Justin, better Justin, that this was a shock or random kind of aside for you, unless you were keeping up with Xavier with Magneto's story at this point.
So I'd have to go back to like rereading at this point, all the other titles. We're kind of reaching a point where Claremont is taking threads from Uncanny, weaving them into here, weaving side characters here, having them show up kind of unannounced otherwise, with the only reference being 150, and then the handful of issues, I think a solid 10 to 15 issues after that they're using this until Magic gets taken, Ilyana gets taken into Belasco's hellscape. But the standout moment is just Magneto trying to swat Lee away. The only reason that he's able to do anything in this issue, and her standing up for herself, rightly so, say, hey, are you really too good to get the help from a human? Like, I'm just here to save your life, man. You would be dead in the water without me.
Right.
I love this base. I love this nice. as like his fortress.
It does have Magneto vibes.
Yeah, it's all the sea creature ornamenture, or it looks gorgeous
for sure. Alicia, any thoughts here on? I mean, Lee Forrester is kind of an odd character in X-Men lore with her Cyclops story, and now here we got her again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, these couple pages, I was like, well, that was interesting. What? Magneto, are you okay? Like, what's going on? But I always appreciate a human character who can still be like confident and stand up to a mutant character, especially a character like Magneto, who like understands their own worth. Like in this moment, she's like, no, just because I don't have powers doesn't mean that I am below you. And I think that having moments in the comics for those people to kind of stand up, especially to people like Magneto, and put them in their place is important, and also just cool to see people coming back, characters that are sort of like X-Men allies, just being like, yeah, don't worry, we're still here. If you need us, we'll sail you to a sanctuary.
Just stirring that pot, just making sure we got all the ingredients and we can take them out whenever we need.
That Lee Forrester spice is still in there. Trust me, it's still happening.
Still good.
Justin, what about you? When you turn this page, where you're like, "What the heck is happening?"
So this immediately reminded me of like, oh yeah, I remember the scenes we had read. I guess it was 180 something where Lee finds Magneto in the water to begin with. Back when we this is last season, I think, at least a season or maybe even two ago.
It might have been two.
And like now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, they never did address like what happened.
Adam reminds us that when Warlock came to Earth, he struck Asteroid M and destroyed it, and that was Magneto's base. So I don't know that we saw anything from him since his home base in outer space was destroyed, and now he's in the middle of the ocean on a boat. So I mean, I don't know.
But
I'm on a boat.
You remember the scenes where she actually finds him, right? Where it's like they're in like
was that in
she's
Uncanny?
sailing. Yeah, it was like 180. I mean, because I'm assuming it was like 180 something since 189.
He was just amongst the driftwood or something.
Yeah, he was like floating, and she had found him, and
that
all
sounds
we
about
were
right.
yeah, we were. It was very a short glimpse, but we were like, oh, like that's crazy. First of all, that Magneto's like floating here. I didn't know where. Like why he was floating there. So that was a little out of context at that time. And then on top of that, I'm like, oh, they brought back Lee. Like haven't seen Lee in a while since the whole Cyclops, like that's, I liked her. And then, so for her to like pull him on board, and then we didn't get anything from that. So now, again, I know we're kind of we read ahead a little and now we're back, from the mutants, but like, in a way, this was kind of cool because I'm like, oh, that kind of carried that little bit on, just to kind of give me perspective for where that even went. And I forget too if we even got anything else after that. I don't think we did. So
I don't think we did either. Yeah, because I had even forgotten that little bit. I was remembering the asteroid M destruction.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, but hey, and yeah, Magneto, very, very stubborn, very stubborn.
I mean, JP says nicer than Cyclops was to her. I mean,
still, right?
Lee, I just got dumped by Cyclops. I still don't have time for your mutant BS. It's a good middle name.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we jump back to the mansion, and Xavier is examining Bobby and Peter, who seem to be in some catatonic state, and doing his best Lex Luthor impression as he tries to solve this puzzle with Moira's help. Meanwhile, it's sort of frustrating to Sam and Danny that they can't do much to solve this. And then it sort of dawns on Danny that she thinks she knows what's going on in some connection to Rain. And Rain is not in the house anymore. And Danny asks Sam to fly her across to a hotel on the other side of the city. When they get there, Danny says, I'm going to make us look like we belong here, transform our appearance to make us look fancy, and we'll get into the elevator. Apparently, Inspector Clouseau is watching us as we do it. And while they're going up in the elevator, she says, okay, I had this weird vision. I feel like I've been in this hotel before, and I saw this crazy sort of beautiful red-haired woman in my vision, and I'll kind of give you the sight to let you understand what it was that I saw. And all of this kind of happening in a blur for Sam. He's just like going along to get along, it seems. Justin, what are your thoughts here on the slowly unraveling mystery of what's happening to Rain and Roberta?
Yeah, so I like that they're like Sam and Danny are like detectives here in this, and as they're trying to piece together all these different items that are pieces of information that are coming along. I do like that as we see Danny use her powers here in the way that she does, especially, making the front desk person basically, recognize them in a way that he doesn't seem alarmed or that they're kids or whatever. I just like that. I just like seeing the pace of Danny. And again, I'm still very new with Danny, just from what we've read for New Mutants here. But to see the pacing of her abilities and how she's learning them, and how there are a lot of things that she's still, we don't fully understand that, like, that takes a lot out of her, and that,
it's taxing, right? She almost collapses.
Yeah. Like, so it's interesting. And obviously I know she's also worn just from recovering still, but yeah, just, it makes me wonder more, like, how far can that go, as she gets better with everything, as far as her own skills and talents and everything, like, what else can she do? Because she's come a long way just from these 23, 24 issues, from being able to just at first replicate a person's fear, and now she's like imitating and having somebody think they're seeing something else altogether, which is like obviously a huge change. So I just like that it was over this course of time and it wasn't rushed, and it's still, we're still learning a lot more with her abilities as we go along. So nice way that's being done.
Justin, Alicia, any thoughts here on, again, apparently more nude mutants, continuing to kind of expand that story, but then also, of course, this mysterious red-haired woman.
Yeah, okay, two things. I want to say, one, this is the first of, I think, 3 times in this issue where Sam calls Danny Chief, and I don't love it.
Same.
I'm not loving that as a nickname. So just to call that out. But I want to agree with Justin in the kind of like unraveling of Danny understanding her powers is also happening with her understanding like what is happening and piecing together her knowledge of the situation and like how it is that she knows these things. Like, when I was reading it, I was like, well, where is she getting this information? How does she know this? But it's all like tied to her understanding the scope of her abilities, which is really cool to sort of see her trusting her gut and trusting her instincts, even though she's not fully confident in like what it is that is going on.
Right.
And so like that kind of journey, and then Sam also trusting her and being like, okay, like let's go like to this hotel. I still like have zero idea who this man behind the bush is. And like
it's Inspector Clouseau. He's looking for the Pink Panther.
But where does
canon in the Marvel universe? He's there.
He doesn't come back.
I mean, they gave us Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor at the same time. I feel like they gave us both, right? Isn't that in the center of the page there?
Yeah,
little nuggets for you.
I thought it was Gene.
What about you?
Justin, what are your thoughts?
Danny right now is pulling a page from Emma Frost's book to make her and Sam look fabulous, right?
Yes.
The old idea of, is Emma actually always wearing all these elaborate outfits, or is she just in sweatpants making everyone think she is? And I feel like that is the perfect use of Danny's new versioning powers. Right? just all for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Be comfortable, look fabulous.
Right?
Yeah.
The Emma Frost sword. I do like how, okay, so Xavier throws these two students into this mess and then says, okay, now that you've done the part I don't want to do, let me and my ex-girlfriend do some sciencey stuff while you all just, I don't know, go play board games or something.
Go figure out where my other student ran off to.
Right.
Fully lock the door and you can't come in.
Not concerned at all. Rain, cool.
But bring me the smallest underwear either of them have real quickly before you go.
Right.
Let me make sure that they're wearing the tidiest of whiteies.
I need to see the most, but not an uncomfortable amount.
Right.
A lot of what we're saying about this, like detective, this feeling of finding it. I mean, we do get a little bit more of insight as to why Danny's getting these images flashing to her. It's a bit of her powers, but also her connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's got this rapport with Rain when she's in her transitional or her wolf form to receive these images, receive these memories, and maybe have had this experience subconsciously while she was asleep the last night or two.
Right.
Which I think is all part of her figuring it out and us as the reader figuring it out as well, which I think is fun.
Totally. Yeah,
Well,
no, I totally agree for sure. Bobby, I don't think the chief comment has anything to do with athletics, but I like that you're willing to give.
Get out of here, Bobby.
We can hope, but
not
at least she's not a Washington fan. I guess that could have really been bad. Danny came a long way with her power, but not compared to Sam, who can almost turn when he wants to. At this point.
Right.
So that's good.
Still working on it.
Good point, JB.
Yeah. Moving along, we finally see our redhead. Turns out, much like we kind of got in issue 22, Rain's story, the fairy tale version of herself, has sort of that character has become a visual representation for herself. And so Sam is like, wait, who is this gorgeous? Oh, there's Rain. It's no big deal. He's still in that blind spot space.
Thank you for explaining that, because I had no idea what was happening. I was like, I understand that's Rain, but how?
No, issue 22 had Rain writing a little fairy tale story with a beautiful redhead protagonist that was like clearly how she wished she could grow her hair and look, because she can't. Her hair will not grow at this particular phase with her mutant ability. And so this is I don't know, I used the term from the Matrix, the residual self-image that she has for herself, right? The idealistic version, I guess.
Yeah.
So they storm in on her. She has no memory of being in this place. She has no idea how she got here. There's a strange piece of jewelry on the nightstand. She's like, I don't know. I'm sleeping in the nicest hotels. I got the nicest clothes. I don't know why this is upsetting, but it's working. I don't know who's footing the bill here, whose credit card's on file in this place.
Charles.
Right. Yeah, fair. Probably Charles. So they have a little discussion trying to figure out what is going on, and nobody seems to be able to put all these pieces together to make any real sense of any of it. At this point, I don't know how good your memory was, better, Justin. Did you have a memory of any? Were you completely lost in the mystery, or were you able to kind of piece this together for yourself? Obviously, the cover does give a little bit of those away.
Right. So that, I mean, at least, and then after reading this issue, I went back to the previous issue to flip through and kind of get a sense, okay, like this necklace is really connected to, and then the powers of. So lost, but also confidently lost. You know, I'm not asking for directions. I'm figuring it out. I'll get home eventually.
I love that.
Comfortably confused, right?
Right.
In the normal Claremont sense.
Right. When you drop into a story that is, you know, part 37 of 182,
right,
you learn how to pick up a few things.
Got to go with the flow.
Yeah, some of that stuff you just let go. Yeah,
you just have to take the like musical theater suspend your disbelief mindset and just be like, it's fine, it makes sense.
Go with it. Yes.
Well, then, Alicia, as somebody coming in just with this one issue, how did you handle Firestar here?
It really was like, the art is really what helped me because of the yellow that Rain is wearing and the fact that she also has red hair. I was like, okay, that's her somehow.
Right.
Noted.
And there's a lot of the problem is there's so many darn redheads in these dang books.
Yeah. But I just like kind of when I get to situations like this where there's something that I'm like, I clearly am supposed to know something that I don't know right now. So I'm just gonna accept the facts in front of me and move on. And that's what I did. I was like, okay.
Did that work for you at least?
Yeah. It works to the best it can work. But in this instance, I was like, okay, this makes sense to me.
Okay. We got my friend Matt, the boy who had 7. He's like, that's April O'Neil, right? That is April. She doesn't have her camera though. Yeah. Accurate, Matt. Justin, what about you? How were your thoughts here as this was starting to kind of coalesce a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, definitely being able to connect last issue a bit more, because I was wondering, we left that where it ended, and they didn't even touch on that until now. We're more than halfway through the book, and so I, like that we were able to catch up on that, and yeah, I mean, just this splash page alone, like again, just pointing out more of the artwork from Bill. Like, I love how his mind works with a lot of this stuff, the projection of the visuals, and then like these little pink bubbles is just like giving you this dream sequence even more so than, it's all just like perfect the way it's laid out. And I wanted to point out too, in the middle page, I guess the top 3 set of panels where Sam's like knocking on the door and it goes from, her in the long red hair to her crying and holding herself there. It was just such a strong flip of, side by side visual, and something about like the way she's crying there and everything. It was so, you just feel that emotion of what she's going through. She's lost, she's confused, she doesn't know why she's where she is. This hotel is a mystery to her, and we learn more of that along the way as Danny's kind of asking more questions of how she arrived here. So yeah, again, a lot of the artwork just stood out big time for me. One other thing too, that necklace that was that's being dangled and pointed out to as Danny finds it on the desk. When I John, I think I told you I was going to reread 189 before, since it was just part of the omnibus going into this story. So for anyone who reread 189, or if you remember from 189, at the end of it, we get our guy Jaime Rodriguez with
and
the
that
necklace.
Other necklace,
and then
evil necklace.
Yes. So, and I'm like, so for a second, I'm like, wait, so is that Jaime's necklace? Like,
so many redheads, so many possessions, so many jewelries here. We got to really streamline this down.
Seriously, and it had to do with Kulan Goth, I think was the villain's name or whatever.
Yep.
And obviously that ties into Celine. So it all was like, to me, like I was like, okay, that's Jaime's necklace, or maybe it's not. And then as I'm reading further, I'm like, okay, that wasn't it. So
MacGuffin. It was a MacGuffin the whole time.
So yeah, so Justin and Alicia, don't feel bad. Even from I'm like caught up, and I'm like, wait, no, that didn't make sense. Like I'm mixed up here. Too many necklaces.
one
Too many
small
necklaces.
one small detail that gets lost in the sea
Oh.
of everything. It's like, oh no, you guys didn't remember? You guys didn't remember? Oh,
Oh, yeah.
gotcha.
That's the one that's going to come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, as they're figuring it out, that's when it hits for Danny, and she's like, "I'm so fed up with trying to put this together. My brain's just not working. It's I'm running around doing all these errands for Professor Xavier. I'm just exhausted." Meanwhile, Sam's like, "Hey, this perfectly convenient newspaper is right here." And it solves the whole mystery because look, it's Cloak and Dagger. Remember them? They interacted with the team, and some stuff happened to Roberto and to Rain, and maybe this is all connected because they were attacked by a wolf monster last night, and they're in the local hospital. It tells us right where to go. We should go down there. And they run down there and find the two of them laid up in bed, looking a lot like Molly and Roberto from earlier in the story. So if you're skim reading too fast, you might get very confused by all these characters who seem to align. But they basically are forced by Sam and Danny to deal with the fact that maybe there's a connection between what was going on before and what's going on now to their friends. This doesn't sit too well with Tyrone, Cloak, who doesn't seem super interested. He's like, no, we solved this already, right? We took the evil away from your friends. It's not our fault that they're, traumatized and turning into, monsters or demons.
It's not our evil. The evil. It's just communal evil. It's now
He's very casual about this.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we go back to where Xavier can't seem to figure out what's wrong, and Moira doesn't seem to be much help, but we see that the corruption is continuing to happen for Roberto. So it's not done yet. So Justin, what are your thoughts here on the resolution to the mystery?
Yeah, I think the real hero here is Jonah Jameson and the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
Without them, this mystery would still be unsolved. As you said, John, conveniently, finding this newspaper with all the details.
Right? It worked out really well.
Did we get Domino in here? Because that is some luck. Maybe she's around. I don't know. Aside from kind of that and how it immediately jumps, because this did take me, because even, we're at the last bit of, last few pages, and I'm like, where does, this tie in with, with Cloak and Dagger, where, we didn't even see them. And then we get them rushed in here, and a lot of, back and forth going in here. I was definitely a little thrown off by it. I had reread this a couple times just to make sure I understood everything that was going on. But I'm like, okay, so they lost their powers and now they don't want them back. But Sam's like, no, you got to take them back because our people are not doing well because of it, and they just want to live normal lives, which is interesting because I imagine, I again don't know exactly their perspective on how they feel about their abilities, but from what they're sharing, they want to go back to normal and not have these abilities as they view them as curses. So I get that aspect of it from him. The other curveball, and this is really just mentioned on that last panel there. And Justin, Alicia, you might not have known this either, but this was actually, Justin, you might, because you mentioned the Demon Bear stuff. So they reference the Demon Bear essentially issue 20, because they talk about these two individuals, a nurse and a police officer who in issue 20 ended up being changed into Native Americans.
Yep.
Yes.
And permanently. And I was just shocked to see that. Well, I mean, that whole thing is over the top. But I was just shocked that Chris wanted to throw this one little panel at the end of this issue to have Moira be like, oh, hey, by the way, remember those two that their lives are a little flip. Anyways, I'm running out of room here in Mur Island, and we're gonna have to have them just suck it up and go back to society.
To just double down of we're keeping that choice. That wasn't just a temporary thing. That's their lives now.
Right.
And you might have thought they just went off and lived, but no, we're going to bring them back up.
And you might have thought that we let them go out and live their lives, but no, we apparently put them on a Scottish Indian reservation.
Yeah. Because we didn't mess with them enough.
No, yeah, they've got their own private settlement now.
God, I do wonder, and again, I know we're going to continue to read this, but
I would watch a series of YouTube shorts on these guys' lives and how it is now, where they're just like horribly racist because they don't know how to be anything but what they are on the inside, and they're living in Scotland trying to just like make a Native American who's really white on the inside in Scotland. Like, give me that story. Show me what that life was like.
So
it's a lot to unpack.
Justin and Alicia, I am slowly making a list of questions that I want to ask Chris Claremont when I see him
Justin,
again.
It's not that slow.
And this might
it's a long list.
Yeah, it's a long list. This might be added to that question. Where are they now?
I think that if you're gonna ask that question, you should buy one of those like pop-up stools that they have
for I've seen those,
so that you can just take a seat, because I predict that will not be like a quick answer. He will tell you his whole headcanon of where they are, where they have become, the movies he has written for them. Like, you better get a seat for that one.
Everyone's gonna hate me because they're all just gonna be waiting online behind me. And I'm gonna be like, I need to know.
Yes.
Candace is like, I have one of those stools, so she's gonna loan it to Justin so he can do this.
I've seen those; they look very convenient. Yeah, good call.
All right, I guess Alicia, any thoughts from you on the cameo here? Because obviously they were prominently on the cover, and now we just get them in hospital beds.
Well, let me tell you something. I didn't know who they were on the cover. And I didn't know what was happening at all. Like, because I was just like, all right, one issue, let's get into it.
Right.
And they walk in the hospital room and they're like, oh, should we call you by your real names or should we call you Cloak and Dagger? I was like, I'm sorry, what? So I also was taken aback, like where you can see her hand is like, what? On her chest. That's where I was. What?
Flabbergasted.
But I did kind of like their like, not my chair, not my problem vibe, like they're just like, oh yeah, no. We're just moving on from this now. Yep. And how Danny and Sam are so, they're steadfast in what they want to accomplish. And these two are very much like, I just really don't know what you want from me. I'm going to put my robe on and just ask you kindly to leave my hospital room. Yeah. But I do appreciate the wrap up of the whole thing, and that like one moment of just like seeing the newspaper changing the whole trajectory of the story is really, right time, right place kind of vibes.
For sure.
That's right.
What's up, Tony? Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Better Justin, any thoughts on this wrap up? I mean, I'm still feeling like I got robbed of a Cloak and Dagger story. The cover gave me one storyline, and then they're like, no, we're not that people anymore.
Which is like these 3 pages in succession are like, yeah, no, we're getting real fed up with this crap. We're gonna solve it. We're gonna throw it in their face. Oh wait, there's still a problem. I think it was JP that said exactly what I was thinking about. How is Xavier not the one that's figuring this out?
Right.
You have a guy that can go into the minds of these people to to like, Rain doesn't remember what's going on, doesn't remember what happened to her. If only we had a telepath that wouldn't faint if they tried to use their powers for the intense procedure that this is. But no, he's too busy hanging out with Moira, with the boys unconscious in their underpants.
He's using the unconscious boys as a distraction to try to get Moira back. That's what he's doing. He can't bother. He's plotting.
It's a long game. She called him Carly Love, and he perked up around.
He was like, that's what I needed.
That's what I needed, Moira. I'll continue to have this school for a little longer just for another hit of that.
It's fair. This seems accurate. Well, let's wrap the story up, because we have 1 page and one little character page left, and that is the monster of Roberto wakens up, and it seems to be sort of taking over the hospital room, to the shock of Professor Xavier and Moira. Xavier tries to fight back, but seems to have his own power reflected back on him and be knocked unconscious, while this thing that is controlling Roberto seems to happily, take control in some ways. And we also get this, another one of the private journals of Xavier, a look at the warlock alien that he's been studying to try to learn more about. So I guess I will throw it to Better Justin down there. What are your thoughts on how this issue wraps, and how are you enjoying the little character profiles we're getting here?
I love the character profiles. I mean, the issue wraps with, all right, you've laid out everything. Now you're going to put a couple of pieces together, and you have my intrigue. Right? I'm buying the next issue. I want to know what's going on because I didn't really get a whole lot of that in this issue. I got a lot of setup and question marks, and then okay, no, there's something more. There's a mixture of powers, and Roberto is overwhelmed by this darkness. Love this as the image of Warlock. Love the fact that, this as an idea to both refresh the students, the readers, on who these students are, on who these new mutants are, but also as a real in-world media file that Xavier is keeping on each of his students, which makes complete sense. The Xavier protocols, the development of where that comes from and where that goes, to know who these people are that he's trusting with his dream and essentially with his life, as they're all in his mansion.
Yep. Yeah. Alicia, any thoughts here on how this wraps up and the little info we get on Warlock here?
Yeah, I mean, I love this last page. These panels specifically give like really great horror movie vibes. Like this could be the trailer for a horror movie that I would be like, ooh, I want to see that. Like, what's going on? And I love Warlock, and so any bits of information about him as a character, I'm happy to get. And I think that it's cool to say, like, you're learning about all of these characters in these bits and pieces. So here's a tangible like place where you can actually go to refer to like, who is this? Where did they come from? What is their origin story? Like those little tidbits of information, and like the reminder of like, why is Warlock here, and what was he facing? What did he run from essentially to come here is, I think, important. And I think too, like what Justin was saying earlier in the issue about how Roberto's, takeover kind of gave like Warlock vibes in the art. I think you're seeing that here as well, like with the black and yellow coloring of like
sure.
that very last panel.
The techno virus kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you see, then to see Warlock right after that, it makes you be like,
how are these not connected?
Intrigue. What's going on here?
Yep, for sure. No, absolutely. And Justin, how about yourself here? How are you feeling about how this is wrapping up and our newest character profile?
Yeah, definitely. I was, again, wondering how this issue was going to end, and of course leaves us with just another big cliffhanger. But love the artwork. The panels up near your head there, John, like especially the further one out with Peter there, kind of, it's almost like smeared, paint in a way, but it's just done so in such a cool way, as he takes over. And to Alicia's point, definitely like horror vibes for sure. So yeah, I mean, I know, John, you had hinted to the fact that this is kind of like a however many 4 to 6 issue arc that we're getting with all this. So I know that at this point we're technically, I guess, through the 2nd or 3rd issue. So I'm definitely looking forward to more. And then we've talked about these character pages before. I think that they're a great idea. Granted, I was already like now starting to track down all these New Mutant books, but now I really want to make sure I own the ones that especially have those in the back, because I think that's really cool. And to Alicia's point, like, a great, especially at its time, a perfect, reference to have to, at that point. I can only imagine, like, as a kid, like just being able to go back to that, from time to time, or even if you're trying to introduce a friend to the books for the first time, they're like, oh, just read these little clips and you'll kind of be caught up or whatever. Like, so I think it's a cool idea for what they did there. And, you get to see Bill show off a little bit and show a big splash page of, some of our favorite characters. So I know that those were some of the highlights from last time too. So,
Yeah. Totally agree. The artwork does shine a ton here at the end. But before we get to like all the way to the very end, we're gonna do our grades, wrap up, and give a little score to this particular issue on like a CGC scale. Justin's just realizing, oh God, I forgot John's throwing it to me first on this. I got a grade first. Yes, Justin, how would you grade this issue? And those of you in the chat, feel free to drop your scores. How would you score or grade issue 23 of New Mutants?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot going on here. I think maybe a little too much, which is funny because last issue and last grade, I liked it for the fact that it had a lot going on, but I felt it was, I guess sectioned off in a cleaner way from last issue. This is a bit more like within the same panel, you're getting like 3 different stories. Like, oh, by the way, we got this thing over here. So like, it just some of it seemed a little too squished together or forced. Obviously the artwork's fantastic. Love that. Love the relationship that we see. I think between Sam and Danny and their leadership and everything else going into that. And again, I talked about her powers, just kind of getting more on that. So with all that said, I think this is going to fall a little bit lower for me. Maybe like it's still a solid. I would still call it like maybe a 7.5 to an 8-ish is what I'm going to go with this. Just because I think it was more the story that really pulled me out at times where I was trying to figure out or catch up on certain aspects of it that, again, like the newspaper solving everything was just like, that's it. That's what was needed for this. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like, okay. Like, all right, let's wrap it up. Let's get to the next issue, like kind of thing. So, for that, reason, I'll stick to like a 7.5.
All right. What about you? Better Justin, did you have any thoughts on how you would score this book?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting because my gut said a 7, and I felt like that was a strong for what it was. Justin, you really hit it on the head with all the things that are coming up, almost just to be like, hey, no, we're going to play with this a little later. Not at all relevant to what's going on. Just want to make sure that it's in your minds that it's going to come back, right? But the art really stands out to have a strong character focus on the 2 co-captains of this team and really them leading, figuring it out, playing off of each other, their own awkwardness, and especially their other, like their best friends to be the ones in trouble. So it's normally Danny and Rain and Sam and Bobby, but now we have this split to be able to explore. I almost want to take further points off for Xavier not doing anything in this issue. What did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do? Like the mind blast right here is the only positive ad that he gives. But yeah,
and Epic failed right back. It bounces right back at him.
Yeah, no, it was a 7 for me.
What about you, Alicia? How would you grade this? Obviously, you're getting the benefit or the challenge of trying to grade it in a vacuum, right? So how would you score it that way?
I mean, it's interesting because my initial thought also was a 7. And then when Justin was like 7.5, I was like, okay, maybe I'm being too harsh. And then this Justin said 7, and I was like, no, okay, we're good. I mean, I'm seconding all of the things that everyone is saying about why it's getting this score. But honestly, for me, it could have gone lower. I'm not going to lie to you. I know that it's like of the times, but the chief thing really got me. Like he said it 3 or 4 times in the issue, and I was like, stop calling her chief. And that just made me want to make it a lower.
He's a simple country boy. He only knows what's read in his very outdated history books.
I let it slide in that previous issue when he asked her if she had any wampum, but
Jesus. No, but then the art, and then if you're gonna give me like a warlock spotlight at the end, that's gonna help your cause. So we're going 7.
Okay.
Right.
And that honestly is right about where I am with it. I was pretty harsh on the last issue as a 7.5, saying it was really disjointed, kind of jumped around a lot. The plot pieces didn't fit together as nicely as I wanted. And I felt like this one is in that same line. But for me, the Magneto bits, and I was just like, okay, I get you want to set up, X-Men 200 and the trial of Magneto and all the stuff that he's got. But it just, some of it felt very clunky to me. So a 7.0 seems right about where I was aiming on this one as well. So I think we're all in agreement there. Bobby says a 9.2 with tidy whitey pages.
By the way, so this grade that Bobby just put here, I think speaks volumes, because for anyone that's been paying attention to how Bobby grades his books, that we do our grading and everything's on a CGC scale, he is always a 9.4 or higher kind of guy with white pages typically. So for him to actually say 9.2, I think in a way he's telling us he's with us.
That's solidarity from Bobby right there. Eric is saying 8.0 off white, much too much going on, and was to get lost, and was easy to get lost. Art still rocks. I appreciate that.
Agreed.
JP says he never does anything. It's a quintessential X-Men useless Xavier, and the kids have to figure it out on their own story. So there you go.
Yeah.
We got Brother John in the chat. Thank you, sir. I
Hey,
appreciate you coming by. Yeah, he was recently gifted a membership as well. I appreciate you checking us in on us, John. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things I wanted to share. Firstly, what I noticed when I read the letters to the editor at the end, I noticed something that I don't feel like I see a lot when it comes to these. It wasn't a letter in particular. It was just the interest based on the names. There was a gender element that I thought was kind of interesting, which is that half the letters were from women, which I don't often feel like in the backs of comics of this era or earlier, I would ever see anything like that, that there would be that many women writing in about a comic book. It was shocking to me. And not really what they were, anybody in particular was saying, but just that as a fan. And it brought up this slide that I shared with the friends here on the show tonight. There was an interesting discussion around the Bechdel test, which for anyone that doesn't know is just an examination of the way that women are appearing in media. And specifically it has 3 criteria. Any piece of media to pass the test has to have 2 female characters. They need to talk to one another in the product somewhere. And they need to talk about something other than a guy, which if you feel like it's a strange test, try inverting it. Try imagining a piece of media having 2 male characters that talk to each other and they're not talking about a woman. And you'll find that it's basically 100% of product that is created. Mm-hmm. So to invert it and say that the original pre-Claremont X-Men only had 7% of their issues pass this test, versus Claremont's era having 82% of the issues produced pass the test. I just think that there's an interesting discussion to be had about why maybe representation matters and why these women might be more interested to write in to a comic like New Mutants. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts. I was going to throw it to Alicia, obviously, as the woman on the panel tonight, just to hear any thoughts she had around this information, because it rang a bell for me.
Yeah, I think that a huge part of that in terms of like New Mutants specifically is Danny Moonstar, because she's young, she's new, she's like figuring things out, but she's put in a leadership position and she's respected by her team in a way that like you don't always see. Like if we're talking specifically about like the OG X-Men and Jean, like Jean was like, oh my God, it's so hard to move this book. And, struggling and the object.
And all the characters in love with her.
Yeah,
she was like the centerpiece of a whole like set of triangles.
Yeah. And even in this instance, like, even though you got a scene where Sam saw her getting dressed and had like a moment, in the conversation afterwards, she had the power of that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And like, that's different. And so I think seeing a team that is made up of a more balanced diversity, right? We have like there's not just one girl on the team.
There's at this point, I think there's 3, right? We got Amara. We got 4. We got Ileana.
Well, I was gonna say, right.
Ileana, Rain, here with us, Danny, and Amara, right? 4.
Yeah. So it's like you're seeing more of them. They're being given more like authority and agency, and making good decisions, and not only talking about boys. It's interesting. When you shared this with us earlier, I was thinking about it after, and I was like, okay, but in this test, like how many of the, like them talking about a man, are they talking about a villain that is a man,
Magneto or something?
You know what I mean? Like, because in that instance, it's so much different than like the concept of them talking about like the object of their desire,
romantic interest.
Something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So that's an interesting perspective. But I do think that the structure of the team and the fact that the women on the team are given more authority and are given more respect is a huge part of why it's more successful and why more women are writing and reading the stories and writing in.
Sure. Better Justin, I thought it was interesting too that the post Claremont X-Men drop was so stark, like between Claremont's era and then the books that came immediately after him.
Which I just, it really makes you appreciate how much Chris added to the whole world of X-Men really starting to get his feet wet with having Storm and Kitty Pryde on the same team together, having a more complex relationship than you normally would see with like kind of a mother-daughter vibe. And then now to be able to fully flesh out this team, this crew from the beginning, brand new characters, really get to define them, and how he then takes that much further with the X-Men line that continues, right? To add so many new characters that are still staples in rosters and lineups today with Rogue and Psylocke. You know, like these are people that are still very much so a part of the X-Men teams and made that mark because of the attention and care and intention that Chris had. You know, you think about how much he brought with Carol Danvers and how much he seeded into her story. Mystique as the leader, her role, her relationship with Destiny, and whether it's actually confirmed on page or not, but she's the leader. She's calling the shots. Storm gets installed as the leader. You know, I just feel like that as a mentality seemed so important to Chris that without him in that role, you lose the reason why so many readers are responding to female representation. Yeah. It just goes back to like, okay, you know, we have the ones that the boys are saying that's cool because that's our target demographic, I guess.
Yeah. I do think this graphic is a little harsh on Frank Miller's Daredevil because I mean, Daredevil is a single character led comic. It's not like it's a team where there's a whole lot of women lead characters. It was really just Daredevil. I mean, it wasn't like there weren't even two female characters routinely in that book. It was just Daredevil and the bad guy. But more interesting, Justin, I don't know if you took a look at this much, but the two John Byrne, obviously there's 3 John Byrnes up here technically because he did a big chunk in the Claremont era, but then also his FF, which was for a long time just 3 dudes and Sue Storm, scored pretty high because obviously he was bringing in Alicia, who was the girlfriend of the Thing. He was bringing in She-Hulk. And then his Alpha Flight doing, I just thought, I don't know, there's some interesting stuff to be said about Byrne as well here.
Yeah, I would actually think that it would be even a little higher than the number is, at least for the Fantastic Four stuff, after he leaves Claremont. But either way, I mean, some of these numbers are glaring for sure. I think that, or I'd be interested, or as you pointed out, like the post Claremont stuff, the fact that it drops again, I think really stands out to me. And I'd be curious to see, like, I don't think it actually gives the years or anything here, but like I'd be curious even just throughout the years of just X-Men all the way to now, what those numbers look like.
Comparatively to like something like the Justice League or a different team.
But even just the year, like I wonder what like so that post Claremont stuff that's 47, I imagine is the 90s, or I guess whenever
I don't know how far that they measured, or I don't know where they stopped.
So that's where I'm curious what like 2000 to 2010 would look like versus 2011 all the way to now it would look like,
so charting it across
I think that would be really fascinating to kind of see that and just to see like what people have learned from that stuff. I mean this might not be something that people are just straight up looking for or looking out for, and I didn't realize that this was like that there was like a name for this, so I found this really interesting just from the get when I first found it.
I remember hearing a lot about it when I was in like film studies because it was always like a movie. They used it a lot of times for film, just to kind of look at like movies that you might think pass the test that completely fail because they have either like low representation in quantity or poor representation in the fact that all those characters are given to do is to talk about the guys.
Right. It's really interesting, this test, like in any form of media, when you look at it, you're just like, whoa. That's whoa.
Because the criteria,
because it's a low bar.
Right. It doesn't feel like it should be this hard to get more things over it. It's just having intentionality with your female characters, that they have some agency, that they have some interest outside of just boys.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the ongoing joke with Magic Lasso in the chat here. And because we've been reading a lot of Silver Age comics, specifically team comics, and it's amazing how poorly the Wasp, as the only female Avenger, is utilized in that run. Like, she is absolutely window dressing and always talking about how good Thor looks in his outfit or whatever. Like, she is such a poorly used female character in that original run. And it's just a prime example of failing the Bechdel test, besides the fact that there's not hardly ever two women in that book. She's such a bad representation all the way through. Yeah. So anyways, just something to think about. If anybody needs this data, I can show them on Instagram where it is. Just feel free to hit me up. There's a whole set of slides that are kind of fascinating to kind of skim through. But let's get to the money side. Absolutely no value to this book. Nothing. I decided to fill gifts into the key element space.
Wait a second.
Nothing.
Wait. You forgot about Harry and Molly. Come on.
I did not even close. Not even close. I am surprised that they're $85 for a 9.8 of this book, and there's 44 of them on the census. That kind of blows my mind. So kind of
I think the cover. I think seeing Cloak and Dagger the way they are being drawn by Bill is like, I mean, I think that could be sought after for sure.
Sure. Alicia, Justin, any thoughts on the value? Are you speculators on any of this kind of stuff? Would you want this book slab? Would you prefer it raw, omnibus?
I don't. I understand slabs in terms of like if it's an issue that has like historic significance for you or like world-changing story, but otherwise, like if the cover isn't what it's all about, then you have a book that is trapped in a box that you can never read or touch or experience the inside. So like, I know I'm going to get like destroyed in the comics world for saying that out loud.
Not at all. No, I'm with you. And this show kind of bears that out, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't reread it. So
that's what Matt's saying. I want it slabbed because I don't ever want to read it again.
That's like, I'm done with this book.
That's fine,
so, you know, whenever you guys bring these things up, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like to know what they go for and like how many are out in the wild. But I don't know. I don't know if I would do it unless
buy the omnibus or get the Marvel app, right?
Yeah, or like this was my first comic ever. Or, like this comic changed my life, or something like that. You know, but that's different for every person. So
true.
Eric says the 9.2 for $6. I'm in.
Right, and that sounds fair. I don't have any slabs. I don't think I have a single slab personally. I just, if I had something that was worthwhile to slab for preservation purposes, I see that.
Yeah.
But I'm not that guy.
This is not that book, right? This is not that.
And definitely not something for this. You know, there are some key issues, there are some key covers that I could see that changing for me, but I don't spend the money on those books. So I'm happy to have the omnibus that can recollect and then just review. And you're going to spend $85 on a 9.8 or $85 on a brand new omnibus.
Right.
That's true. That's very true. And also this book, I mean, I think I got mine for $1.50. Most of these you can find in the dollar bin. So, for anybody that is looking to find a copy and probably be able to, this is actually a pretty decent condition book.
Yours look really sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably could, this is probably like an 8 or something like that.
Oh, you better go get that slab.
Yeah. Right.
So there's no 8.0s. So you'd have the rare one from the census if you can get it. All right, well, that is the end of the slideshow. We're back to you can kind of see a little bit of who we are again, but don't leave because we've entered the trivia portion where you can enter and get a spot onto the big giveaway wheel that we do in June. So many prizes, original art, and I'm giving away an omnibus, and Justin's giving away all of his comic collection. It's really amazing.
All of them are going.
Everything, right? All of it. All you have to do is either give us the correct answer or give us the second person to get the correct answer. So copy and paste, somebody in the chat, or be the most entertaining answer that Alicia or Justin choose from the wrong answers. So we're going to give away extra ones because I'll let Justin and Alicia, if they don't agree, they can each pick one, and we'll give away extra answers tonight. So hanging out in the chat just gives you the opportunity to be on the wheel when we come around back to June again. These questions, as a reminder, are about last episode and last issue 22 that we did over on Justin's channel. So I know that Tony's got all of his notes out in front of him. He's ready to answer trivia. He's even asking about next week's trivia. And who knows? Maybe I'm going to ask only things about the Bechdel test, and you'll just have to deal with it, Tony.
And he's probably streaming right now, right? Is he live right now?
He's not. I think Marcus took the night off, so I don't think he's. I don't think he has to do any of that.
Yeah, typically he's actually live while he's watching our show.
Right. I don't know if I get questions from you, Justin. I don't think you sent them.
I forgot to send them to you. I wrote them down like an hour before.
And you got mine, right? So we're no duplicates, right? Okay, making sure.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good.
Oh, and Russ just showed up in time to make comedy in the chat or to answer trivia. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you, Ryan Riley, for doing that. Nice. And Magic Lasso dropped the starting line. Do you want to go first, Justin, or do you want me to go?
Sure. Yeah, I'll kick it off. My first question is, how did Nightcrawler prank Rain during his Danger Room session with Cannonball at the beginning of the issue? As we know that they were in a training session, Rain had run over to be the audience for Sam, and she was tricked by Nightcrawler. What did he do to kind of I use the word prank. It really wasn't. It was like in fun, but he did kind of toy with her. It
was a very interesting Danger Room session last time with Nightcrawler and Colossus running the training.
Right. And I'm actually going to give it to the first two there, Tony and Ryan. Yeah, he used the room to kind of make themselves look or appear as clowns. And Rain thought that she was talking to Sam, and she got all flirty with him and went to kiss him. And then Nightcrawler revealed his real self, and she freaked out and judged him and
called him a demon.
I got all fired up because I'm like, Rain, look in the mirror.
Harsh.
Come on. Right? Stop. Yep. Yeah.
But Bobby says no. He clowned her. Is what he did.
He did.
That did actively make me laugh.
I saw your reaction. Eric says he tripped her with his tail. That's what he did. Which it's not very nice as a teacher to do that. We've only got 2 comedy answers, or the chat is asleep tonight. I don't know if we if the Bechdel test was too much for them.
Maybe.
Ryan says, got out an umbrella to keep the rain off of him. Rain.
Boom.
Character Rain. I get it. He told her that they are eating the cats and the dogs. There it is. JP says he made her a sandwich, but then he ate it. Oh,
that's brutal.
That's mean.
That's a mean
gosh.
Mean-spirited.
I still want he clowned her.
Yeah.
All right. Bobby De La Ghetto gets a point. Right. Justin, did you have a different one you wanted to reward?
I think we're in agreement on that, just because the other thing that made me laugh was the eating the cats and dogs,
which is also Bobby.
So Bobby gets both points that round.
Yeah.
Bobby coming in strong.
Nice.
All right, my first question is about the work that Sam is doing with Nightcrawler. Sam at one point is about to crash, and Nightcrawler bamfs over to help him, but doesn't really rescue him. Instead, after he bamfs over to where Sam is, what does he do to Sam? Because he doesn't just save him and put him down on a nice pillow and help him relax after his stressful Danger Room trauma. What does he do? What did I write?
Let me check the official text here.
Moved him
emotionally.
Yeah, right. I think I'll just probably do it again. I'll give it to Tony. Throws him, drops him. He basically he catches him and then just drops him from the top of the Danger Room to kind of see if he knows how to fall correctly. Poor Sam having to deal with some stressful teaching moments, but he's probably no worse than Xavier gives him. So he drops him into a net, right? Because there's a net like a trapeze kind of net to catch people.
Yeah.
He moved him. He just moved emotionally. I'm assuming you mean emotionally.
Yes.
He covered his eyes to make him crash. Ooh, it's harsh. He played him there's a new Diana Ross album
at the time.
At the time. Makes more sense. Yeah, teaching him how to fall the right way, right? He bamfs him to the leather store for a new outfit.
I mean,
accurate.
Sam does have his leather that he likes.
You said throw about 3 times, John. I'm reading that with an exclamation mark, Tony. I'm assuming that's what you wanted.
Definitely how he said it.
Made him tuck and roll. All right. Fair. What do we got? Justin, did you have a favorite in there somewhere?
I'm here for Bamford to the leather store. I think
leather store.
Candace.
All right. Was that? Who was that?
Candace.
Candace.
Bobby said he makes him put a shirt on.
That's the real torture. Whatever he did, you can bet Sam doesn't have a shirt on for it. So there it is.
I'm gonna be in agreement again with Justin on that one.
All
Candace
right.
for the win.
Candace getting the double points. I love it. All right, Justin, back to you.
All right. My second question is, what were Moira McTaggart and Professor X doing in the lab after returning from Scotland? There was a bit of a scene that they were together.
This could open up a lot of doors.
Yeah, I'm ready for the chat.
In the lab.
The wrong answers are going to be good.
You cannot be saying that, Charlie.
You're going to have to tell me what the correct answer is you want for this one.
A lot of a lot of opportunities here. Let's see.
These are really far tamer than I was expecting, so I'm feeling good about my channel title still.
I'm laughing because one of them is pretty accurate, even though it wasn't what
not the answer you were looking for.
So, but I think I'm gonna allow it. So the two correct answers that I have are Magic Lasso, studying Warlock. Yes, they were essentially, trying to get an understanding of how he worked, how he operated. And yes, Tony, you're not wrong. I mean, there was water involved. There was a glass
he was absorbing it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you that, Tony, for that answer. Not what I had written down initially, but
I feel like this is accurate, but maybe not the answer you were looking for.
Right. This is broadly accurate.
That's actually, maybe
that's a consistently accurate option when it comes to any questions about a game.
Man, nice one.
Bobby said making out, which is good. That's G. Yeah. That's G rated. That's fine. Nice. Brown chicken, crown cow. Sorry. I was trying to say it with the right intonation, JP, but I really do that. Creepily watching kids from the window.
I mean, he does that too.
Consistent.
He does that too.
Doing a chemistry experiment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reaching around the corner, wink, wink, says Ryan. Doing some wheelchair lap dances. Okay. Making a new Proteus, if you know what I mean. There it is. Making sandwiches. Restocking her arsenal.
Yes, there you go.
Preparing a sex ed demonstration. They were making the demon bear with 2 packs. Wow. I'm blaming Justin. I'm blaming Justin for all of these.
But is it bad that the one that I love the most was ignoring the kids?
It's great.
That's the one.
There it is. Matt and Clemson with a point.
That's what he's doing.
Because I hate them kids.
It's so accurate. Yeah.
Yep. Did you have a favorite, Justin?
I want to give it to the wheelchair lap dance.
Old wolf.
Tony.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You're all of this chat is wonderful. I appreciate you all. Last question. Okay. We had a lot with Roberto's father and the Hellfire Club last time, but it seemed to be going pretty well, except for one sticking point. What was bothering Roberto's father about the Hellfire Club? The Hellfire Club, sorry. What was his big concern or frustration or worry, or what was bothering him?
It's a good question. Thank you, Ryan, for dropping the line.
Always dropping the line. I appreciate it. And missing you, Jackson Roy Kirk, if you're catching these on the replay, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know what Matt and Clemson's trying to do there. Sit suit. He's having a fit. He's just slapping his keyboard. So I'm gonna yes, I'll give it to Tony. That seems to be the phrase of the night here. I'll give it to Tony.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Matt and Clemson. I know what you meant. The suit, the clothes were the problem part. I'll give it to Matt and Clemson.
Man, if Chet were here, he'd be flipping out right now.
If it was Chet, I wouldn't give it to him. But yeah, having to dress in the old style clothes is correct. The way they dressed is the problem. Candace says he didn't want to wear the leather too, which is you don't see that underneath the corsets and everything. The suit made him look fat.
Can't do it.
I think his body did that part. Emma was nowhere to be seen. Why else would anyone be there? Having to dress like an enema prostitute. I see what you did there, Ryan. I see what you did there. He didn't see the maids until later in the day. Wink, wink. Adam says he said they needed more redheads in lingerie, which not really been redheads in lingerie has really been a rarity with the Hellfire Club for the most part. They didn't have leather chaps that fit him right. That's always a frustration. I don't know if I can click that one, Bobby. I'll go for it. Yeah, he saw Jeffrey. He saw Epstein there. Yeah.
I'll go for it.
I don't know if that's going to get my channel shut down, but
YouTube jail. Here comes John.
There it is. No riding crop. Yes, Celine only has that spare item. All right, Alicia, did you have a favorite in this set?
Yeah, that Emma was nowhere to be seen. Why else would anyone be there?
There it is.
That's the truth.
JP.
Emma.
Yes,
Emma.
indeed.
Emma Frost.
Emma is the queen of the Hellfire Club. That's for sure. Justin, do you have a fave?
I'm caught up in the Bobby just being so attached to the look and detached from the styles of the Hellfire Club. I want to give it to they didn't have leather chaps that fit him right. He wanted to be a part of that style. He really did.
Eric.
It just didn't work out.
Nice.
There you go.
Eric on the board.
Extra point for Eric from SideQuest Comics.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alicia and Justin, for joining us tonight. Ex-Wife Podcast. All their links are down below, so everybody should be following and subscribing now.
Thank you. It's always so fun to hang and chat with you guys. Really appreciate getting the opportunity to do it. And also, like, all the people in the chat. Like, I love it. It's such a fun community to be a part of.
Absolutely.
We are not on next week. I've got to double check. Justin, is it 3 weeks? Are we off a couple of weeks here?
We are going to be back April 1st, and that's not a joke. That's
the Fool's Day.
Yeah. Yes. We will be back. I swear. We are going to be back on April 1st. It'll be on my channel. It'll be with my good friend Mark, who'll be joining us. So, we're going to be doing 2 issues. We're back to 2 issues next week. So 24, 25, get ready to hang out for 4.5 hours. It's gonna be long. John, I told my wife, I was like, we got 1 issue tonight, so
John's gonna
John, it's on John's
decided
channel.
to get into
John
like a feminism rant, and,
it's Women's History Month.
No, it's great. It's great.
Absolutely.
But when I told her this, my wife's like, sure, whatever. I'll see you in 2 hours.
However, if you still want to hang out with Justin and I, next Wednesday we're doing a different show over on Justin's channel. We'll be talking about Black Panther comics by Reginald Hudlin. Hudlin, sorry. So if you want more of this, it's the storyline involving the marriage of T'Challa and Storm. So you still get a little mutant madness thrown in there, a couple of X-Men issues, and we'll be discussing that first volume, which is floating around me somewhere. So next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, we'll be on Justin's channel talking about this book.
We finally made the Omni Panthers happen.
Yeah.
We have a lot of other show ideas coming your way, folks, but the Omni Panthers are here.
Yes.
And I will say, the idea stemmed from, I had mentioned to John that for being such a big fan of Storm, I don't know, I've never read her story arcs of being married to T'Challa. And I'm like, I feel like I should have at least read that to kind of know the full details. So that was where it kind of stemmed from initially. And John was like, I've been wondering.
I was like, I've got the 3. I have never finished that run, and I've got all the trades. I was like, let's dive in and let's do the first volume. So there you go.
Yeah.
But I'll also be live Thursday with Dr. Doom, talking about some Dr. Doom stuff, the Doom Omnibus, and then Friday I'm talking with JP, talking about Bendis's run on Daredevil. So lots of live streams still happening despite a little Omni X-Men break.
That's right.
Amazing.
That's right.
Well, huge thanks to everybody in the chat and for hanging out. Leave comments as always. We appreciate hearing all you guys' comments, and we'll see you on April 1st over on Justin's channel for issues 24 and 25. All right. Good night, gang.
Bye, guys.